You're watching Morning at NTV.
According to a report by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, about 4 million Ugandans are food insecure. Now that's bothersome for a country which has about 50%, to be exact 48.9% of East Africa's arable land is here in Uganda. That's land that's suitable for agriculture, and meaning we should have potential to be a food basket of not just the region, but even Africa. That's potential that we have. But we are food insecure. Many young children are stunted. This morning, we want to try and understand the depth and the gravity of this matter, but even more importantly, let's suggest some remedies. That's coming up on the big story. And joining me this morning is Alhaji Jallow. He's the FAO country representative. Good morning, Alhaji.
Good morning, Joel.
It is ironic, I think, that a country that has so much potential, a country that is blessed with the weather that we have, with the arable land that is suitable for agriculture here in this country, but 4 million people are food insecure. What explains that?
Well, I guess it's a process. Because being food insecure, okay, is serious as it is, but it's not as devastating as like saying people are starving and the rest of it. That's a more severe condition. Being insecure, you can have remedies, and the remedies can be like moving food from areas that have abundance to areas that have less. And that can be facilitated by having the right infrastructure that will move these things to those places. So the condition, yes, is severe, but the good news is that something is being done about it.
According to your report again, about 35 to 45% of children are stunted. That's across the country. And you also tell us that between 70 to 80% of Ugandan children eat a diet of inadequate diversity and lack nutrient-rich foods. Again, that bothers me. Is it a question of us not doing what it takes? Is it a question of poor storage? Is it a question of what? I'm trying to get my finger to it.
It's actually a combination. But I think the significant part of it is the knowledge. Because nutrition has been a challenge in this country in the sense that people don't know what to eat, the right stuff to eat. And even if you take people in the urban areas, Kampala inclusive, you ask some people, they're just used to combining some carbohydrate and some maybe beef here and there, chicken, and they neglect vegetables and other things that will provide the required nutrients for the body. So right now, people are aware, and I think the government is aware, and there are efforts to improve nutrition education in the country. And I think that will also help, because the stunting, I think in certain areas where even there is a large-scale production of food, you have children being stunted. And that stunting is what has to be addressed in the knowledge that is provided to the people there. Because those areas, they have probably a lot of carbohydrate, and these kids are pumped with a lot of carbohydrate, but they lack other nutrients that will really provide the formula that will make them at least normal children like others.
Yesterday at the Independence Day celebrations, the president did express his discontent about the fact that about 40% of crops that have been given away for wealth creation, Operation Wealth Creation, they're drying up, and it's because people are not irrigating them as should be the case, and so on. We have got a lot of water in this country, the many lakes and the rivers that we have all over the place. We're not tapping into it as well. Is it technology that we need? Is it maybe our undoing again has been that we've got good weather, that we sometimes feel, you know what's the need for irrigation in a country like ours? And those that are actually literally dry and they're using irrigation as one of their modus operandi for agriculture, they're doing quite okay. Look at a country like Israel, not the kind of weather we do have here. Egypt, which is dry, it's relying on the Nile, which we have here, but we are not.
Yeah, that's again a question of complacency. Because over the years, Uganda has been blessed, as you rightly said, with a lot of rain, with a lot of water, and people have been growing crops 2 seasons a year, and there was abundance. But now there is a challenge because the weather condition has changed, and that is because of the climate change that has come in. And now it's becoming more and more difficult to rely on the rainfall. And that is why I think it was very good that the president raised this issue. So now people have to look at access to water, both for crops and livestock. And that is one area that we were trying to improve to get more water access for livestock and crops. And with that, I think irrigation technology will come in, because now, if you see in the country, a lot of people are adopting irrigation. And as you rightly said, there are even some people getting knowledge, information, and techniques from Israel to be able to deal with the irrigation situation in the country. It will take some time, because irrigation also needs quite a large investment in terms of having the right reservoirs, and even getting the water from the reservoirs to the farms needs quite a bit of work, and that will take a little bit of time. But I think the goodwill is there, the knowledge is there now. These people are sensitive to the situation, and more people are getting involved in irrigation. And there is even the drip irrigation, which is serving communities.
Are we acting on these things? I don't know. You have been around for quite a while. I don't know what you see. What I see is we talk quite a bit about these things, but we are not harnessing this potential. And that's why there will be plenty in one part of the country, and parts of eastern Uganda, people will starve and sometimes die. And several of those other shenanigans that shouldn't be happening in a country with so much potential, agriculture-wise. Do you see the action? I see quite a bit of the talk.
No, but then it's a gradual process, Joel. Like I said, people are getting to know now, and it will take a while for them to catch up. Because even for us, like I mentioned, we are now getting this drip irrigation to communities, and the farmers are being aware. And if I can explain to you, because I mentioned this climate change issue, and we are putting emphasis on improving the adaptive knowledge of farmers on climate change. And in doing that, we're making them aware of what they have to do to cope with the situation. Not only getting tolerant crops that can resist the vagaries of the weather, but also how to apply it in the fields. So it's a gradual process. This is a big country. It will take some time. But like I said, you are coping with areas of abundance where people feel a bit more confident and complacent, and they don't want to change that quickly. But the change is coming in gradually. You
are having an interesting theme for this year, and you're saying agriculture should change. That's as FAO. Yeah. Agriculture should change according to climate change. What do you mean by this, and how can this be done?
Yeah, because I mentioned the situation with climate change. Now, if you take Uganda as an example, here they have noted that the temperatures have risen over the years to about 1.3%. Since 1960. And now the danger is it can rise even further. And they are projecting that temperatures might rise between 1.6 degrees centigrade to about 5.3 degrees centigrade, now against probably 2080. And that is very serious if it happens. Now, the rainfall also, they are predicting that it will reduce from, say, like between 133 millimeters to 188 millimeters. Now, these are conditions that will have devastating effect on Uganda. So now the attention is being drawn to agriculture and food responding to the changes in climate. Now, those changes, as I said, would have to come from the techniques that you mentioned. Areas that have less now would have to look at new techniques on growing crops, and that is adopting irrigation schemes, be it even drip irrigation. Now, other areas that have the rainfall might still have to get resistant crops, and I think NARO, the National Agricultural Research Organization, is doing a fantastic job. It's doing a very good job in providing improved varieties in maize, in beans, and others that can respond to some of these things. So this is why I said it's a gradual process, but we are going in the right direction. So we are also trying to provide valley dams, reservoirs for crop irrigation, if possible, but mostly for water source, for livestock, and even human beings getting access to potable water. So the conditions are really improving, slow though it may be, but at least we are making progress.
There was a time when the weather patterns were consistent. We knew as a country the season that would be wet, the season that would be dry, when it would rain, when it would not. Right about now, it's different. It's different. Sometimes it is scorching hot, then other times it pounds heavily, destroys crops for farmers and the like. It's distorted, it's all over the place. And really, it's because we have messed up the environment. We've cut down several trees, we've depleted wetlands and the like. How do we reverse this? Is it reversible anyway? So we can get back to that orderly way of doing things so that, Mother Nature works for us and we work for it too. There's no conflict. There should be not.
Yeah, the reversal is possible, and that's why everybody now is getting sort of converging on what needs to be done, because you're aware of the Paris Agreement, and now the people are aware of the dangers. They're committing to reducing greenhouse emissions, and also they're working towards the mitigation of climate change. And at the same time, developing countries like Uganda are working on adapting to these climate change issues. And as you rightly mentioned, the changes would have to be addressed through the right information. And this is why here we are working with government to predict, and one could say, well, to provide early warning systems in the country that will provide information to the farmers. And the Office of the Prime Minister has set up a center which is coordinating not only disasters, but information that will address or preempt some of these disasters. And they're collecting information, analyzing the information, and there are even now bulletins that are produced, and these bulletins provide information for the farmers. Now, this will take some time because you'll have to get some of these bulletins also into the local languages for the farmers to access them, and you have to help us, the media, to get this information across to the farmers. But now, this is something that has not been there before, because having this national center that will gather information, analyze it, and provide information to the farmers on time so that they know when they have to plant and when they have to stop. Because that has been a challenge for the farmers in this country, as you rightly said, because the seasons have shifted and they are now confused. Because even for the layman, even in Kampala here, people get confused. You are in the rainy season, you don't see rain. You're in the dry season, you see rain. So these are things that we have to address, and they're being addressed, and that's the good part.
I talked about the talking that we do. The president says severally that we need to commercialize agriculture, that we need to go high-tech, we need to have all these equipment in place and so on and so forth, so we can add value to agriculture, so we can begin to do it better. How much progress are we making, you think?
Yeah, we're making progress because commercializing farming or getting into commercial farming has several inputs to it. Because as I mentioned, you have to get the right seeds, you have to get the right inputs, that is the chemicals and everything that go with it. Then the land also has to be secure, and the land I could say customer land ownership in this country has also challenges for farmers. And if you want to go commercial, you need a bigger land. And this is why the president mentioned several times that people should stop fragmenting land. They should see the land, use it together, and that makes it more effective. So these things are actually happening, and the traction, the mechanization is also catching up. Because I think there has been a lot of emphasis on using tractors. But now people realize that tractors have challenges in communities, because using a tractor in a sandy soil might create some problems for some people. Using tractor in these volcanic soils that you have in Uganda has their own challenges.
So we should go the whole way, the hand whole way?
No, the whole way are definitely working beyond that. What I'm trying to say is that we have to adopt animal traction because it's less expensive. You need oxen, ox plow, and you are ready to go. Even I've seen ladies in northern Uganda and other places using oxen comfortably because you just have to hold it. The labor is less. Tractors need maintenance. You have to get the spare parts. You have to get the fuel for it, which raises the operation cost. And in some areas, the tractors they dig too deep. And when they dig too deep, the erosion becomes a problem. Then again, you have the weeds. When they come in those tractor-plowed areas, it creates a challenge for labor. And some of these areas, they don't have the labor now as before to weed the crops. But with animal traction, with this small hoe, the digging is less deep, and you can also use harrows to actually weed the field. So it's more appropriate for the conditions that we have. People who can afford it, people who have the area or the land or the conditions can use tractors. But we cannot use tractors generally in the country. It's not suitable. We have to work very hard at the animal traction system, which has been done in other countries successfully. And I think we have to adopt that here and adapt it to our condition here and work on it, because it's feasible and it will really move us very fast in the commercial farming that we are talking of.
Hopefully we get to adopt it. Alhaji Jallow, FAO country representative, thank you for talking to us this morning.
Thank you very much, Joel, for having me.
Coming up is my opinion.